Hello, so in this video I'm going to show you how to pass your driving test using a piece of string. Now you're probably thinking, how on earth can a piece of string help me pass my driving test? Well, watch this video and all will be revealed. I'm going to go through quite a few things that you need to take part in. This is a fun, interactive video. It's a bit like playing a game. So I want you to go and get yourself a piece of string. This, in my case, is actually a piece of cord because I don't have any string. It could be anything like this, so you can just hold in your finger and let it fall down like that. That we'll need a little bit later on in the video. So go and grab yourself a piece of string, and I'm just going to explain briefly a little bit about me, myself, how I found this method and how this works. My name's Paul and I've been a driving instructor in the UK for the last 20 years. I'm also a qualified hypnotherapist. Now don't worry, this video has nothing to do with hypnosis. You're not going to go into a trance. I'm not going to control you through the screen. But that's how I found this method. My unique blend of skills, I'm a bit of a pioneer when it comes to being a driving instructor and a hypnotist. And that unique blend of skills has allowed me to discover something about why people fail the driving test. Yes, you can fail a driving test because you're nervous, or because maybe you weren't taught very well, or you go for a test before you're ready. They're all valid reasons. And the thing I'm going to show you in this video, this is not the only thing it can be, but this is a big thing that no other driving instructor ever talks about. I'm the first person who ever discovered this, and I'm very proud of that because all the hard work I've done over the years has led me to this conclusion. So what is it? Well, what it is quite simply, as we've already said, yes, you can fail your driving test for various reasons. But did you know sometimes you can fail the driving test because of self-sabotage? Now, if you've ever heard of self-sabotage, you'll know what I'm talking about. What this is when quite simply, we've all got two halves to our mind, and this is not going to get too technical, don't worry. This is a very basic, low-level kind of video. But we've all got two halves to our mind. We've got the conscious side of our mind, which is what I'm talking to you with now. I'm using my conscious mind and I'm just speaking to you, and that's what most of us use most of the time. But you've also got the subconscious mind, and you've probably heard of the subconscious mind before. You may have heard of it as the unconscious mind. I prefer to use the term subconscious because if you talk about the unconscious, people worry about being knocked out. So I prefer to use subconscious rather than unconscious. Now the subconscious mind is at work all the time. As you probably noticed there, did you notice me do that? I went like that. And you notice when people talk, they talk with hands and they're going like this. And if you ask them what they just did with their hands, they can't remember. That's your subconscious mind talking. It's like if somebody says, which way is it to the shops? Oh, it's that way. You might do that and point without even knowing you're doing it. That's the subconscious mind. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look into your subconscious mind, because sometimes the reason for failing a driving test is that your subconscious mind is stopping you from passing because it thinks that if it allows you to pass, you're going to get hurt in car crashes and things like that. Now that might sound quite odd to some people, but it's the truth. I work with people all over the world to overcome driving anxiety. I chat to them online, and within about an hour, I've got rid of their fears and phobias. It's worth knowing this doesn't just work for driving tests. This works for anything. So most things, not anything. It works for relationship problems, job interviews, fears and phobias of all kinds. You can find the cause of them using this piece of string. So let's start to look at this now. And let's start to go over how this piece of string can help you to find the reason you're failing the driving test. So let's move on with the fun and let's get started. If you haven't already done so, you need to go and grab yourself a piece of string. Now in my case, this is actually one of those cords you have in the bathroom, you know, the light cords, because that's all I could find. Now it does help if you can get something heavy to tie onto the end of the piece of string. So you're going to actually have a pendulum. Now in my case, this is a little bit embarrassing. When I moved into this house, this is not mine, this is what was in here when I moved in the house. I found this old cord And this is one of those things you have in the bathroom where you pull it and it turns the lights on. And this one has got some pink high heel shoes on, and it says glamour puss, ooh la la. So this is not mine, but it's perfect for this exercise. So what you need, just a piece of string is fine, but if you got something heavy on the end like this, even better if it makes a nice kind of jingling sound like this one does, that will help you to do this exercise. What we're going to do is we're simply going to use this pendulum to talk to your subconscious mind, and we're going to find out the reason why it's making you fail your driving test. Now, I do want to point out something very important to begin with when we talk about this. This has absolutely nothing to do with fortune telling, psychic powers, spirits, divine guidance from above. It's just a piece of string with a toilet thing on the end. Okay, so this is not anything psychic or magical. This is all just you and your mind. And what we're going to do is make this move in different ways to give us answers to find out why our subconscious mind is blocking us from passing the driving test. And I know people are going to say, oh, it's a load of rubbish. If you think it's a load of rubbish, I encourage you, go and get yourself a piece of string and do it. Don't just sit there thinking, oh, this is rubbish, it'll never work. Remember, it doesn't have to be a driving test issue. This works with anything. So, if you don't believe it, or if you do, either way, get yourself a piece of string, tie something heavy on the end, see there, it's just a bit of cord that goes through this holder. It's where you pull to turn the lights on in the bathroom with these lovely pink stilettos on. So yeah, all you need is something like this, and actually do it, and you'll be amazed what happens. So what I'm going to do is we need to do a few warm-up exercises to get this to work. I'm going to ask my subconscious mind to move this. I'm going to make sure it's still. And I'm going to get my subconscious mind to move this left to right, side to side. So I'm going to say, subconscious mind, make this move left to right, side to side. Now, can you see that? Can you see it moving side to side? I hope that shows up well on the camera. Look at my hand. Can you see my hand moving? I can't tell it's moving at all. Now, it is moving very slightly, and people say, oh, you're faking it, you're moving it. Yes, I'm not faking it. The whole point is, you are moving your hand, but you're not aware that you're moving it. Try that and you'll be amazed. Just go and do this. Have it hanging like that. And then just say it out loud. Don't worry about feeling silly. It works better if you say it out loud. Subconscious mind, make this thing here move left to right, side to side. And there you go. Now, I'm not aware that I'm doing that. If I do it consciously with my conscious mind, if I say, move it left to right, notice the difference in my hand. Watch my hand. Watch these fingers and thumb here. And I do it consciously. I'm actually moving it left and right. I'm aware I'm doing it. I'm moving my hand and I can see my hand moving. The difference is when I say, subconscious mind, make this thing here move left to right, it's moving more and more and more. So it's not just the momentum of me, this is moving more and more and more. And I can't tell my hand's moving. Now maybe it is actually moving, but I can't tell it is. I want you to practice doing that because you need to train your pendulum. And again, don't just sit there thinking, oh, it doesn't work. Do it and you'll be amazed. Even if you haven't got a pendulum, just do it with a piece of string like that and just say, move this string around in a circle. And it's incredible how you won't know you're doing it, but it happens. Again, no magic involved, no mystical power. It is your hand moving, but you're not aware you're moving it because it's your subconscious mind moving it. It's incredible. So that's the first thing you need to do, is to kind of get over that in a way, get over the phenomenon. Now, what happens if it doesn't move? You do need to understand that some people are naturally better at this than others, like anything in life. Consider as well that I am a qualified hypnotist, so I work with the subconscious mind all the time. Me and my subconscious are very in tune because I use it every day. If you haven't done stuff like this before, you might just think, well, nothing's happening. If nothing's happening, fake it till you make it. I want you to say, make it move side to side. Actually do fake it. Say, yeah, that's what I want you to do. But I want you to do that, subconscious mind. I want you to do that without me actually physically moving my hand like this. And just keep doing it and say, okay, subconscious mind, make this thing move forward and back. And if you need to, fake it, make it move by moving your hand. And each time you do it, gradually reduce the amount of pressure and the amount of effort you're doing with your fingers. And you can take a bit of practice, but you'll probably find within a few goes it works. If it doesn't work, let me know in the comments and I'll give you some more guidance on that. But it does work for everyone. You just need to practice the skill. It may take a week or so before it works, but it can often work straight away. So now you've got this moving around, what do we do next? What do we do with all this dangling toilet thing, and how do we use this to tell whether or not you can pass your driving test? Well, let's get on to the next part of the video and I'll talk about how to train your pendulum ready to give you some answers on how to pass your driving test. Okay, so in the next part of the video we're going to start training your pendulum to answer 4 specific questions. Now for this you're going to need, you don't have to, but it's a lot easier if you write this down. Get yourself a pen and paper and I want you to write down 4 things. Write down the word yes, the word no, the word again, and then write down don't want to. And I'll explain what this is in a moment. So you've written down 4 things. Yes, no, again, don't want to. You're now going to get your pendulum to give you a specific way of giving you each of these answers. So in a moment I'm going to say to this, how do you want to answer yes? And you might go side to side. How do you want to answer no? Might go back and forth. You can go in circles, clockwise, anti-clockwise. Sometimes you can go diagonal like that, diagonal like that. There's no right and wrong. Whatever works for you works just fine. Now it's really important that every time you do this, you recalibrate this. If you do this now and then come back in a few hours and ask the same questions, an answer like that meaning yes could now mean no, and your mind might want that to mean yes and that to mean no. So every time you do this, you do need to go through this short calibration exercise to make sure that you've got the right answers. Now I'm going to do this now. I'm going to say, subconscious mind, I want you to move this item here in a way that you mean yes. Now see, it's going side to side, left to right. So where I've written down yes, the way I do this is I just put a little line with an arrow on each end. So it reminds me, because it's easy to forget this stuff, it reminds me in a moment that when it swings like that, it means yes. Now I find, looking back over the last few times I've done this, I always have the same movement for yes, no. And the funny thing is, I can't remember what they are. If you said to me, what's your movement for again? I don't know. But every time I do it, it's the same, which is quite funny. That shows your subconscious mind remembers the same thing. And when you start asking these questions, you'll find it does this, and you think, what does that mean? You have to look it up. And that just proves that this is your subconscious mind working. Your conscious mind maybe won't remember the movements, but your subconscious mind, which is far more powerful, will. So that's my answer for yes. I think I know what this is going to be, but subconscious mind, can you move this item here to give me an answer for no? It's up and down, which looking back, yep, it's the same as always. This will be different for you perhaps, but mine's always left, right, yes, up, down, no. The next one, again. What does again mean? Sometimes that's just an abbreviation I use. You may ask a question and it hasn't understood. It thinks, what do you mean? Again just means, can you ask me again? Can you make that clearer? So, subconscious mind, can you move this item? Give me a symbol that's going to mean you want me to ask the question again. Clockwise, which is actually different to what it was before. Good point. It's normally anti-clockwise, but it's still clockwise. One more question. The last question is don't want to. What this means is that your mind doesn't want to answer you. So, subconscious mind, move this object to give me the answer that you don't want to answer the question I've just asked. Now that's going anti-clockwise. Now if you get two directions that are the same, that's your mind being a bit awkward, because it can happen now. It doesn't often, but it can. But if you find it's giving you the same for all of them, you need to have a word with yourself and say, subconscious mind, stop messing around. This is important. Okay? So I've now got 4 answers. My yes answer is this, side to side, left to right. My no answer is back and forth. My ask me again, because I didn't get the answer, is a clockwise spin, like that. This is me consciously doing it now. You see the difference when I'm doing it consciously? You see my hand moving. And I don't want to answer that is an anti-clockwise direction like that. So now you've got that done, let's move on to the next part of the video, where we're going to look at how to actually start getting some answers from your subconscious mind. Okay, so in the next part of the video, we're now going to start getting into the more fun bits where we start finding some answers. But before we do that, there is one more thing that we need to do. You need to test whether or not your mind is going to lie to you. Now, believe it or not, your subconscious mind can tell lies to you. Why would it do that? Because it wants to protect you. So it might be, for example, you might ask it, am I going to pass my driving test? And it says, yes, yes, yes. Again, this is not fortune telling. This is your subconscious mind saying, yeah, you've got everything you need to pass your driving test. And you think, yes, I'm going to do it. Great. But it's lying to you. It's saying you're going to pass because it wants you to think that. But really, your mind's thinking, that's what you think. I'm going to sabotage it. When you get to that roundabout, I'm going to make sure you mess it up. When you move off, I'm going to make sure you keep stalling because I'm not having you driving and getting hurt. This is the mind, the role of the subconscious mind. We all know about the survival instinct. The strongest instinct anyone has is to survive, and that's what your mind is programmed to do. If anything threatens you, your mind will do whatever it takes to keep you alive, and that's why your subconscious mind maybe doesn't want you to pass the test, because it thinks you're going to be in a car crash and get hurt if you pass. So that's why it can sabotage you and make you fail. So how do you tell whether it's telling you the truth? I'm going to ask a question. I can't remember what my answers were now, what the movements were. I'm going to ask the question, subconscious mind, am I sitting down? Yes. So I am sitting down. You went side to side. That's my answer for yes. So it's telling me the truth. I'm now going to trick my mind into thinking I'm standing up. And this is a really funny thing. Even though I'm talking out loud and telling you this and my mind can hear this, your subconscious mind doesn't understand language in that way. It doesn't take in what you're saying. Even though I can say no, my subconscious mind, I'm going to trick it. It doesn't take that in. I haven't got time to explain why. That'll take hours to explain. But don't worry about your mind hearing you. So I'm going to tell my mind that I'm standing up. I'm going to do this and I'm going to be saying I'm standing, I'm standing, I'm standing. And I'm going to get my mind. You see that? You just see that then? That was a no answer. I'm saying I'm standing, I'm standing. My mind was saying, no, you're not. That means my subconscious mind is telling me the truth. That was really funny. But what you're going to do is you're going to say, subconscious mind, would you agree that I'm standing up at the moment? I'm standing, I'm standing, I'm standing up, I'm standing up. And it's saying, no, no, you're not. My subconscious mind is agreeing with facts. That means it's going to tell me the truth. I can ask it directly. Subconscious mind, are you going to tell me the truth? Yes, it's going to tell me the truth. Now, what if your mind says no? What if you tell it you're standing, and all you've got to do is say, I'm standing, I'm standing, I'm standing up, when you're sitting down? If your mind says, yes, you are standing up, you need to talk to it and say, look, subconscious mind, you need to be honest with me. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me the truth. Tell me what I need to hear. If it keeps lying to you, that means you've got a slightly bigger problem. You might want to contact me about or ask me in the comments. But yeah, generally your mind won't lie to you. But if you find it does, just have a word with it. Talk to yourself and say, look, stop lying. Tell me the truth. Tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. This video could go on for hours and hours if I cover everything. But that's just a rough guide of how you test to see if it's going to tell you the truth. In the next part of the video, we're going to get into the really big stuff. We're going to dive deep into these questions and find out if your mind has been stopping you from passing your driving test. So in this part of the video, we're going to start asking your subconscious mind questions to find out whether or not it's blocking you from passing your driving test. By this stage, you should have already done all the other things in this video. You'll have got your pendulum, you've calibrated it, you've tested it to check if it's telling the truth. I'll quickly point out that I'm going to be doing this next part talking about passing the driving test. Bear in mind, I've already passed my driving test decades ago, so this won't actually work for me. I'm going to be simulating what would happen for you. That's me actually moving you in my conscious mind. But I have to simulate this because the question of passing the driving test is not applicable for me. So you're going to need to ask yourself 3 questions. What you're going to do is the first one is going to be whether or not your mind has a problem with you passing your driving test. So get your pendulum ready, as I've showed you before, and you're going to say to yourself, subconscious mind, is me passing my driving test a problem for you? Now, it's not moving for me because it's thinking, what are you talking about? You've already passed your driving test. But yours might say yes. If it says yes, go on to the next question. These questions, by the way, are written in the comments below. So there's only 3 questions. I'll write them in the comments so you can just copy them out. Feel free to just copy them, paste them into your own document or on your phone or whatever, that's fine. So the first question is, does your mind have a problem? Just say, subconscious mind, do you have a problem with me passing the driving test? It says yes, you can go on to the next question. If it says no, then you need to have a talk with yourself. You need to explain to it, look, this is really important to me. Driving, you need to list all the benefits that driving would bring. So you can say to it, if I could drive, I could do this and this and this. And not being able to drive, not being able to pass this test is holding me back and it's stopping me living my life. And I'm sure you don't want me to be held back and restricted. You need to just talk to yourself and get your mind to understand that you want to pass and you need to pass. Then do this again. If you keep saying no, again, let me know in the comments, because you need to understand with all of this, this is a bit cheap therapy, as it were. Okay, if you want all the best help you can possibly get, you're not going to give. I can't give you every single answer to every problem in this video. I'm doing the best I can, but you're not going to be able to answer every single point that could come up in a session just from this video. So if it says yes, move on to question 2. If it says no, you need to have a talk to yourself and get it to understand you really need to pass. If it says again, if it asks me the question again, rephrase it. Just say, well, look, I really need to pass this exam next week. You might call it an exam, a driving test, whatever. You need to rephrase the question, ask the same question using different words. And if it says that it doesn't want to talk about it, you've got a slightly bigger problem. Now, don't worry about that, but you can still have a talk to yourself as with the other answer. And just say to yourself, say to your subconscious mind, are you willing to work with me on this issue? And if it says no, you need to just talk to yourself and you need to convince it that this is something that's really important to you. You really want to talk about it. You might say to it, if you don't want to talk about it now, how about you have time to think about it and I'll come back in an hour or a day or a week and we talk about it then. It's quite tricky again trying to give you all the answers to every kind of outcome in a video. If you do hit any real problems with this, you need professional help. With my therapy, you can always contact me or we can do a proper session. But this is a bit of a cheapskate way of doing it. This is like for people who want therapy but either can't afford it or just don't want to go through it. But yeah, so that's the first question done. Let's assume that you've got an answer of yes, your mind thinks it's a problem for you. We're now going to move on to question 2. So now we're ready to move on to question 2. And question 2 is, subconscious mind, are you willing to talk about this issue with me? And again, we'll either say yes, in which case you can carry on. If it says no, again, you need to explain the benefits, talk to it, explain why you want to pass. If it asks you to repeat the question, just rephrase it in a different way. If it says he doesn't want to talk about it, as with question 1, you need to talk to yourself more, and you need to get your subconscious mind to explain how important this is. If it doesn't work, you might want to reach out to me in the comments for some guidance. But that's question 2. You need to get it to confirm whether or not it's willing to discuss this issue. So you just say, subconscious mind, are you willing to talk to me about this issue of where you keep stopping me from passing my driving test? Again, it's not moving for me much now because it's thinking, what are you on about? You passed your test years ago. But for you, you'll get a different response. When you've done that one, move on to question 3. Question 3 is where you might become a little bit stuck. Now, please understand I'm making this video for free to help as many people as I can. But there is only so much you can do yourself for free. For some of you, this will work and you'll have no problems and you'll go and pass your test. If this doesn't work, feel free to reach out to me for professional help, because I am a qualified therapist and this is the part where my skills really come in. I'm going to give you the best explanation I can and tell you how to do this, but this is where you kind of pay the price, as it were, of being a cheapskate and trying to do this for free through a video rather than paying for professional therapy. What you need to do is, now your mind's willing to talk to you about the problem, you need to find the cause of the problem. Now, the way you do this is you need to think back through your life and think of events that could have caused you to have this thing where your mind doesn't want you to drive. What could that be? It could be a car crash. It could be a bad experience you had driving with someone in the car who had road rage. And it doesn't have to be anything to do with driving. It very often is nothing to do with driving. It could be something somebody said to you in the past. It could be an event that happened where maybe you tripped over while crossing the road and a car screeched to a halt and nearly hit you. You're looking for anything, any event or situation in the past which has caused you to have a fear, or your subconscious mind to have a fear of driving. So you might say, for example, subconscious mind, is this problem with me passing my driving test anything to do with that time when I fell off my bike as a kid? And it'll give you the answer. Subconscious, if it doesn't give you the answer, subconscious mind, you try something else. Has this got anything to do with the time I was in a car crash? Has this got anything to do with the time when I was at school and blah, blah, blah? You need to go through a list of events from your past to find which one it is. Now, if you did proper hypnotherapy, like with me, we could do this like that. I can literally click my fingers and the solution will come to your mind. But that is a lot deeper than what we're doing here, because we're not in a trance here, we're not in hypnosis here. We're doing this using a very, very sort of lightly touching on the subconscious. But what you need to do is find the event or the cause that's making you fear passing the driving test. Once you've found that event, what will happen is you might have what we call an abreaction, an abnormal reaction. Now, an abnormal reaction is when it's abnormal in context to the situation. So if this is getting a bit more complicated now, but that's why I say, if you do it the cheap way, you kind of pay the price when you haven't got someone there to guide you to the harder parts later on. But what you're looking for is an abnormal reaction. So you think, well, when I drive, when I was a kid, I had this problem and I was nearly in a car crash. And you might say, yes, that's the solution. That's why I'm stopping you from driving. And you can say, no, don't you understand? That was 20 years ago. That's not going to stop me driving now. And your mind might say, no, I didn't realise that. Now, again, it's harder to do this part, but what you're doing is you need to find the reason that your mind is stopping you from driving and then explain to it that that reason is irrelevant because it happened decades ago. Because that was a one-off freak event. It's not going to happen again. You need to find the cause and make your mind realise how silly it is that it's associating that fear with driving. And again, that is really all I can tell you without spending hours and hours covering every single angle. So find the cause, find the reason, and then when you realise, you'll say, is it because of this thing that happened when I was a kid on my bike? And it says, yes, no, I'm faking it there. And you say, oh, come on, subconscious mind, that was years ago. You must realise that's got nothing to do with driving now. And you'll say, no. You'll say, well, look, subconscious mind, just because I had an accident when I was 5 years old, years ago, that's not going to make me have an accident every time I'm in a car now. Do you realise that? No. Well, are you going to stop making me fail my driving test? Are you going to actually help me to pass my driving test? Because you realise that now you don't need to stop me. You'll say yes. You need to go through the process where you talk to it, explain how daft it is that you've had this problem from years ago that no longer applies. And this is what I meant earlier on when I said about the different parts of your mind. Different parts of your mind are trying to stop you from doing this for these daft reasons. Now I know I can explain that better, but it will take hours and hours to explain. If you're having trouble, let me know in the comments, or you can contact me for any help you need if you want to do a professional session where we don't use bits of string, we use actual hypnosis. That's what you can do. You may find you get very emotional during this process. That's fine. That's the energy coming up. If you don't get emotional, it probably hasn't worked. You either laugh or cry. Most people cry. Some people burst out laughing. So are you telling me you're stopping me passing my driving test because of something that happened 15, 20 years ago? And people say, I can't believe that. That's stupid. Come on, subconscious mind, stop being so stupid. That happened years ago. It's not going to stop me now, is it? That's how you get rid of it. So I hope you've had some fun with doing that. It does work, and yes, I can explain it better. I can do videos in the future where I analyse each part more and go into it more. But for now, that is really all the help I can give you. To finish this off, by the way, what you do is simply when you've done all this, you can just make sure it's worked by saying to your mind, subconscious mind, are you going to now help me to pass my driving test? And I'll say yes. Never just get rid of a problem, always replace it with something positive. So think of something you wanted to do. Think that you had this thing like a part of you that was stopping you from passing. I want you to think of a new role for that part to play. So you might say, subconscious mind, instead of making me fail my driving test, I want you to let me enjoy it. I want you to make me smile. Every time the examiner gives me a direction, I'm going to smile. Think of something positive that you want your mind to do. Never just leave it empty. Never just take a problem away and leave an empty space, because that can have big consequences in the future. We have a saying, avoid, avoid. Never leave a void, because another problem will come and jump into it. That's why some people, for example, quit smoking and then start gaining weight, because they've got rid of one problem and that problem shifts to another. So I really hope you found this video useful. If you have, please do give me a thumbs up, and please share this video. Share it on your social media. Share it among your friends who need to pass their driving tests. And remember, you can do this for other problems. It doesn't have to be a driving test. I do put a lot of time and effort into making these videos, and all I ask is that you please like them and share them, and leave me a comment, even subscribe if you like this work and you want to see more videos like this in the future. Check out these other videos I've made, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.